everybody, welcome back to the Dice Tower Library as we take a look at various shelves. Today we're taking a look at Rack 9 here. Rack 9 has some very specific things about it. Some older games and some series of games on it. At the top we have some Euro-style games. We start all the way on the end with Hawaii, a game that's always going to stay in the library because my initial review of it, I owe the designer that much. La Granja. This is from Stronghold Games. Didn't get a ton of love when it came out, but it got a decent amount of buzz. St. Petersburg, which is one of my favorite games, is when I teach people a lot. It looks like garbage, but it's a fun game. Yokohama, which has been actually reprinted since then. I'm not sure if the new version's out yet, but the Deluxified Tasty Minstrel version of that and of Head Days from them and Grain Brewer, both are really nice. Kalis, this is one I debated. I don't know what to do with Kalis because Kalis 1303 is a much better streamlined version of the original Kalis, but can we get rid of the original Kalis? And what if I only kept one? I'm not so sure. Nations, the dice game, which I think is vastly superior to Nations, a fun dice game that a lot of people don't know about, is sitting next to Chocolate Factory, which has some of the nicest components in my entire collection. Someone made little chocolate bars and stuff. It's fantastic. You should play this just to look at the components. Then we got a couple games I despise, Medici and London, but they're both very popular games. Auction Game and London Building Up London. That's the Osprey version, very nice. Next to that is Monster Baby Rescue. Monster Baby Rescue looks like a kid's game, but it's actually a pretty decent mid-weight drafting style game from Vladimir Suki. Very good game. Carrara, next to that, which was unavailable in America for a while, but was nominated for the Spiel des Jahres. And then Lorenzo Il Magnifico. There's some pretty solid games on the top shelf here, along with a deduction game, Code 777, which makes me realize I need to move that to my deduction shelf at some point. All right. What is shelf 2? Well, shelf 2 is Garfield games, except printing press, because it's the same size. Printing press is there. But the rest of these are Garfield games. The Anarchy, Scarbar Bray, these are the two newest ones, and Ezra and Nehemiah. Then we got Raiders of Scythia, Hadrian's Wall, Viscounts of the West Kingdom, which for some reason is in a smaller box than the other West Kingdom boxes. Raiders of the North Sea, Shipwrights of the North Sea, Paladins of the West Kingdom, Architects of the West Kingdom, Wayfarers of South Tigers, Scholars of South Tigers, Inventors of South Tigers, and Circadians First Light. So you'll notice there's a few that aren't here. I think Explorers is not here. Shipwrights should not be here because it's easily the worst of the entire line. Maybe some of these will go and come as they keep printing new versions of these games. Then we drop down to the next shelf, kind of a hodgepodge of goodness. Russian Railroads, of course, a fantastic game. Prodigals Club. You know, in the last shelf, we had Last Will. Last Will and Prodigals Club should probably be next to each other. I'll have to fix that at some point. Dominant Species Marine. Talk about two mega games that are fairly different, but also very good. Welcome to Centerville, which I've actually never played. Belfort from Tasty Minstrel. Isn't there a 10th anniversary edition of that coming soon? The new version of Galaxy Trucker. Then First Rat. If you've never played First Rat, you really should try this game out. It is a hidden gem. Oregon, which sounds boring, looks boring, but is actually pretty fun. Next to New York Slice, a game about splitting up pizzas. That's probably on this shelf mostly because it's a thin box and fits. Grand Austria Hotel, about feeding people, which requires them to then stay in your hotel, is next to Cupcake Empire, another game that I have some really cool pieces for. Probably should put Cupcake Empire next to Chocolate Factory. Aquasphere, which is one of Stefan Feld's worst games, but other people like it and it has cool pieces and a cool theme. Next to the King's Guild. Have you ever wished you could play a more complicated version of Splendor? And I don't mean that sarcastically. That's what it is, and it's pretty good. Around the World in 80 Days is a classic old game about how fast you can travel around the world. Next to Furnace, a fantastic game from Hobby World and Arcane Wonders. Alrighty. There's a lot of Deluxified Tasty Minstrel stuff. I've seen Orleans, one of their best games here in the middle. But the Battle at Kemble's Cascade, if you want to play an arcade game, video game as a board game, where ships keep coming down with really neat pieces, that's one. Then we have Let's Make a Bus Route next to Bus. I just thought it was funny to put those next to each other, but they really have nothing else in common. Then Boone Lake, which unfortunately for this game came out the same year as Ark Nova. So everyone likes Ark Nova. Boone Lake did not get as much love, but it has its fans for sure. Newton, next to Orleans, next to Altiplano, because Altiplano was essentially the sequel to Orleans. Next to Clans of Caledonia, a big game in a small box. Then we have Obsession, obviously very, very strong fan base for that game, and that gets played a lot. Next to Kapow, not as strong of a fan base, but if you want to play like a Kapow, I think I would compare closest to Dice Throne. Then we have one of the meanest games ever made, Lifeboats. Lifeboats is a game in which you are voting who gets thrown off some sinking lifeboats. Exodus Fleet, a very underrated game from Tasty Rental Games as you load up people on Earth to get them to a safe planet. The Magnificent, about running a little carnival. And then we have Kremlin, old-style war game controlling people in the Kremlin. Freshwater Fly, which is about catching fish. And Infamy, which was Travis Chance's first design, I believe. All right, now on the bottom, we have some games. Guilds of London is one of those really cool interlocking engine building style games that does not get a lot of love, but it's pretty solid. Terra Mystica, that one does get love. That's right next to Gaia Project, as should be. Then we have Chinatown, the old auction style game. This is one of the reprints of it. Next to Ispahan, one of the first games from Istari. That's surprising, right? Scoville, this is the Tasty Minstrel game version, a new version of this just came out. I think we have both in the library, actually. Terra Tiara, a pretty neat game from Quinted Games where you place your workers out, but you can place them up ahead in future turn spaces, which are pretty cool, but then you won't get them back till later. Next to Hadara, one of the best games I've ever played. A civilization building game about, well, it's more about collecting sets of cards. Think Seven Wonders, but more complex. Really good game. Then we have the kids' table board games down here. We have Maple Valley, Power Plants, Wreck Raiders, Creature Comforts, Fossilis, and Haunt the House. Those are all good in various ways. They all have this cuteness to them. You can see the same artwork on them. I don't know which one of these I like the best. Probably Wreck Raiders. I think Wreck Raiders has some pretty neat stuff going on. And then there's sister company, Kids Table Board Game, Grand Gamers Guild, Artemis Project down there. Next to Trial of the Temples, which probably just got stuck there in the corner because it fits in that spot. So that's what's on rack 9 here. Let's take a look at my favorites from each shelf. On the top shelf, is it Lorenzo and Magnifico? Yeah, I think, no, St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg is my favorite from the first one. Then from the Garfield shelf, I'm going to have to go with Raiders of the North Sea on that one. I like that one a lot. Then on the third shelf here, it's probably First Rat, actually, of all these games. I do like Russian Railroads a lot and Galaxy Trucker. Then below that, ooh, this one's tricky. Oh, Orleans. Orleans is such a fantastic game. And then finally on the bottom shelf, this one's, Hadara. Hadara, very, very amazing game. That's easily my favorite there. Can't believe it took me so long to figure it out. What are your favorites? Let me know. Anyway, this is Rack 9 in the Dice Tower Library. I'm Tom Vasel. We'll see you next time. Hey folks, thanks for watching another one of our videos. If you like our videos, if you like our channel, you would love to game with us at one of our conventions. Check out Dice Tower Cruise, Dice Tower East, and Dice Tower West. Fantastic conventions where we play games with wonderful people, a humongous library, and lots of other events and stuff. Also, don't forget to check out our channel, like and subscribe. I'm Tom Vasel.